Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and today we want to eat the most painful plant in the world. To be precise, the plant with the most painful sting in the world. It grows deep within the jungles of Borneo. It is not so easy for outsiders to find this thing. However, if you are in the right place, it will find you. Or shall I rather say, if you're in the wrong place. Even the journey to find this thing is adventurous and not without peril. Here, for example, my old nemesis, britches. I'm here with my friend Ringus, an elder of the Bidayut tribe who already got the first leech. Look at that. Well, he's not using mosquito spray like me. Mosquito spray often also works for leeches. And he already got the first one after less than 5 minutes. This here is Mr. Ringus' durian garden. If it looks really jungle-like to you, the reason is this is basically a fruit orchard, not a vegetable garden. So you don't need to have the ground completely tidy. Today we will remove a lot of the vegetation as preparation for the durian harvest. However, he does not really have durians this year. So basically, we'll remove some of the vegetation just to make it easier to remove it again for next year's durian harvest. So back to our target species for today. So the family Urticaceae, or nettles, is named after the stinging nettle, which is present in many different species in the old world. Around here, I haven't seen stinging nettles. However, there are a couple other genera from the same family. A couple wild fruit trees and shrubs like the genuses Pipturus and the Bregeasia, which don't grow around the garden. And then, of course, the infamous genus Dendrocnide. Another bridge. The problem is, Ringus weighs less than half as much as I do, so the bridges around here, they are not made for my weight, and I've already broken a lot of them. However, this is the famous Belian or ironwood, and it should be able to carry even my enormous weight. Speaking of weight, let me pull mine and remove a bit of vegetation instead of just creating content here. Since there are no fruits, today we are gonna collect some herbs. Here, for example, is one herb which is extremely valuable for me. Oh, and finally it's blooming. A decoction of this is perfect for skin inflammations like stuff. I don't know if it's if those are viral diseases or bacterial or fungal, but you catch a lot of stuff in the jungle, and modern medicine is not so good in fighting those. But putting a bit of the tea from this plant, no, this is not the Gympie Gympie, putting some tea of this plant on your skin will remove the problem within a day or two. Ringus just reminds me that there are two different, very similar species growing here together.
I think this is the seed.
Ah, this is the seed of the herb. Ah, very good. So the one we want is the one with the reddish stems, and right next to it there is a very similar one with green stems and bigger flowers. Mr. Ringas has been an incredible help for me. From him I learned not only a lot of jungle medicine, but also a lot of other jungle lore, and also a lot of jungle vegetables. For the last 6 years, when I was traveling and foraging around Borneo, I was relying mostly, well, when I was foraging I was relying mostly on fruits, but outside of the fruit season fruits are just not enough. So he taught me what vegetables, he taught me a lot of what I know about what vegetables to use, especially outside of the fruit season, what herbs to use, and also what poisonous plants to avoid, especially the Gympie Gympie. Finally we found some durians, but they are still very small. They will need maybe 2 months. Also, the tree over there is the one we didn't even collect the fruits last year because they were bad quality. For many weeks we would come every day and collect baskets full of durian fruits from the other trees. This tree had tons of durians last year, but it's the only one that has fruit this year, but they are not really worth the trouble. The Dendrocnide trees grow on a steep slope at the edge of Mr. Ringas's garden. An area which is not very much cleared, because usually he doesn't have much business in this part. Always be careful what you cut. Don't cut the young durian trees. This is the food of tomorrow. Here is the food of yesterday, chocolate. He tried cultivating chocolate a couple decades ago, but the squirrels got it first. Here a young chocolate fruit, long before it ripens. As soon as the seeds are of a decent size, the squirrels will get it. But back to the Dendrocnide. See those two V, those two stems in the center which kind of form a V? The plant is about 8 meters tall. If you know something about the proper Gympie Gympie, it doesn't tend to grow to this size. So I must confess that the title of this video was a little bit not jailbait. Jailbait was something different. Clickbait. This is in the same genus as Gympie Gympie. It works the same way as Gympie Gympie, but it is not the Australian species Dendrocnide moroides. So I didn't scam you completely. This is a very close relative of the Australian species, and it's just as painful. Don't believe me, believe the stories of the Bidayu. Now we have to be careful, because even fallen dead leaves can punish you for weeks and months if you touch them. Here is one leaf. See? It's already, okay, I didn't get it. It's already yellowish brownish, covered with mold, but this will still hurt you. Here another one, half eaten by some insect, but the rest will still hurt you. And something is, wait. No, a leaf is touching me and I thought that it's stinging me, but I think it was just my imagination. Still, it's pretty painful. So why is the Gympie Gympie called the suicide plant? As I said, it is a relative of the stinging nettles, so Europeans will have quite a good idea. Ow, yeah, I think I must have touched some. My ankles and my hands and my face are pretty much the only parts of my body which are uncovered, and yeah, I did touch some. For now it just feels like a stinging nettle. But the difference between Gympie Gympie and stinging nettles is the pain from the Gympie Gympie will often increase over hours, days and weeks, depending on the species. There are about 70 species between the rainforests of Australia and Southeast Asia. All are considered very painful. And yeah, especially, well, in the Western world there are mostly stories about the Australian plant because, well, that's where most Westerners had some experience with. Here, by the way, we have a young specimen. Cut this one? Yes? Okay? So, Ringas also told me that the stem is safe to touch. I will literally trust him with my health. Maybe not with my life. But yeah, I'm touching the stem and I'm okay. So why is it called the suicide plant? There are numerous stories from Australia, from people and also from animals, basically unaliving themselves after they touched the leaves of this plant. Like horses and cows which jumped from cliffs or hit their head against the wall until they expired, or soldiers who shot themselves after touching this one. Ringas's village has its own story, and it's maybe even more hardcore than the stories from Australia. So you see, in the old times, they had a feud with another village. Not with the Iban tribe, their arch enemies, but with another Bidayu village from the area of Padawan. And the people from that Bidayu village, they wanted to occupy the land of the people of Pichin, which is the village of Ringas. And they snuck towards Pichin through the jungle, but then they got tired and decided they want to rest a little bit before the battle, or before the ambush, before the attack on the peaceful village. However, people here are very clean and tidy, and they know that basically the jungle floor is full with leeches, spiders, snakes, dirt and so on. So they saw those beautiful big soft leaves. Maybe they don't. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I touched one of them with my ankle because it hurts exactly like a stinging nettle, and I've had the Dendrocnide a couple times. I think maybe, does this grow in the Padawan area? I've only seen it in the hills, never in the flatlands. Have you seen this around Padawan or around Kuching?
I never see this.
Yeah, so my suspicion is that the people around Padawan who come from the flatlands, from the lowlands, never had experience with this thing. But anyways, they came to the jungle, they cut off those big soft leaves and sat on top of them with their bare bottoms, because back then people here did wear clothing, but not a lot of clothing. Not like now. I mean, look at Ringas, he's basically... That's nothing like, I've seen his sisters or other people here, when they go into the jungle, they would have socks so that there is no space between the shoes and the pants. They would wear gloves, they would wear several layers of clothing and a big hood and sometimes even a mask over their face. So nowadays, when they go to the jungle or the farm, they are very well dressed because they want to avoid contact with everything that can irritate or hurt or infect them. But back then people were not wearing so many clothes. So imagine sitting with their naked bottoms on top of the Gympie Gympie. And yeah, at first, like this here with me, yeah, it stinks a little bit, but at first you are not that alarmed. But as I said, the pain increases with time. So after some time, those people jumped up and ran away screaming. The whole army or the whole war gang or group of warriors, they forgot their war with Pichin village and they just run back to escape the horrible pain from those leaves. Look, I mean, they are big. They have those soft looking hairs on top of them. They look like the perfect thing to sit on if you don't want to sit on the dirty jungle floor. And that's how Pichin village was saved back then. So here, by the way, while I was talking, Ringas was very busy collecting everything. We brought a tupper box because we are not sure how well those spines, how well those stinging hairs will get through a plastic bag. So we have a plastic box with a lid, which we will put inside. The how is the sap? The sap from the stem. It should be okay because there are no prickles to pierce his skin. But what does it smell like? Terima kasih, Bapak. Okay, so this is a Dendrocnide stem. Not much taste, to be honest. Maybe it reminds me a little bit of stinging nettles, but not so much. Stinging nettles and their relatives, they have a very distinct taste and smell. It's quite a rich and complicated taste, and I actually like it. However, as a child, even when I was 3 years old, I was forced basically every day in spring to go and collect stinging nettles with my bare hands for food. And yeah, maybe it's an acquired taste. By now I like it, but yeah, sending 3-year-olds to collect those things, I still think this is cruelty against little children. But no, I don't think I tasted the taste in this old stem. But I'm hoping for the leaves to have a similar taste as the stinging nettles I know from home. Also, Mr. Ringas is an extremely brave man. He's the bee hunter of the village. That means that his job is actually to climb giant jungle trees. Here, this is not a giant jungle tree, this is a giant durian. But his job is to climb giant jungle trees on the search for bees. He can climb trees I would never even attempt or think about climbing. Oh no, I lost my parang. This is very embarrassing. Where did I put down my parang? You don't do such things in the jungle. You do not lose your parang. Here it is. Well, and also, well, like 90% of the people in his village, they wouldn't. Oh, here is a big hornet. Careful with those. I think he exterminated all the hornets' nests around his garden because they interfere with the durian harvest. Well, 90% of the people in this village wouldn't even recognize the angry leaf, as they call it. How is it in Bidayu, Bapak?
Daun Api.
Daun Api. So daun is leaf also in Malayu, and api, is it also in Malayu?
Fire.
Fire. So in Bidayu it's the same as in Malayu.
I think it's not the same.
No? But this is what you call it here.
Daun Api.
Daun Api. But the words are the same as in Malayu, right? Api is in Malayu and daun is also in Malayu. You think they don't have a name for this plant, maybe? Yeah, Malayu people traditionally are people of the sea, of the coastlines, of the lower, of the river estuaries and so on. So it is possible that they don't have a traditional name for a plant of the hills. But as I said, like 90, maybe 95% of the people in the village wouldn't recognize this plant. Actually, Ringus' sisters, they did not know what the plant looks like. They know about this plant. They've been coming to this garden for decades, but they don't know what this plant looks like. And of the few people who actually know what this plant looks like, there will be probably almost nobody in the village who will just harvest this thing just with the parang and the little stick, even without gloves, without any special protection. Yeah, Ringus is definitely one of the bravest people I've seen here. Unfortunately, I still haven't been able to see and film them while harvesting the honey of the giant black sting bee. So while I was talking, he did all the risky work, filled the box with like 1.5 to 2 dozen, wiping his parang. I don't know if this will do a lot, but yeah, maybe if there are stingers which got dislodged. Because remember, with this, I always assume this is that this has the same mechanism as the closely related stinging nettle. When I studied biology, we had actually to draw the stinger of a stinging nettle under the microscope. And since this was one of the first lessons I had at university, I still remember exactly what it looks like. So basically the poison without the stinger, without the possibility to penetrate your skin, should be quite harmless. And also the stinger should be quite harmless if the poison is neutralized by heat. He still has his little pet here, he still has his little leech. He doesn't mind leeches. I cannot stand them, and 99% of people nowadays cannot stand them. Some still use them as medicine. But he just doesn't mind the leeches. I would have screamed up and thrown this little thing away as soon as I saw it, but not him. He's cool. His garden is at the edge of a pretty substantial jungle area here in the hills between the town of Serian and the Indonesian border. And so even in the garden there is an incredible diversity of plants, trees and herbs. My ankle is not bothering me too much right now. Also, I know that I'm wearing the pants of an old Muslim woman. I bought them second hand. And the only thing I'm not happy with is that they were so short. Had they been 10 centimeters longer, they would have saved me. So it's bothering me a little bit, but not too much. However, every time I brush against it with something, it's bothering me more. And I remember a friend of mine from the Murut tribe, he told me that he actually discovered a herb that works against the Gympie Gympie sting. It is some sort of fern, but he said it works only with one special fern with slimy sap. It's not one of those. Could it be this one? It grew at Ulubaram in the hills near streams and rivers, and it had slimy sap. No, this is not slimy. There are a lot of different ferns here. Some of them are being eaten, especially this year. This is one of the most common plants here in Borneo, maybe the most common plant by far. However, no, I do not recognize the exact species from Ulubaram, and I also doubt I would recognize it I also doubt I would recognize it without the photos I took. No, lots of different ferns here, but unfortunately not the one which could ease my pain. Ringus decided to burn off the stingers from the leaves, and coincidentally this is also a method I learned from some ethnobotanists who claim that even the ancient Stone Age cultures of Europe used this. The stingers are very thin, so you don't need much time to burn them off. And theoretically, the leaves should be already edible after this. However, here we are not talking about a normal, everyday European stinging nettle. Here we are talking about Dendrocnide, about Gympie Gympie, the most painful plant in the world. Also, by the way, folks, don't try this at home or anywhere else. I mean, I am a trained botanist and survivalist, and Mr. Ringus is a native of Borneo and has lived all his life with dangerous flora and fauna, and we both have decades in experimentation with trying to eat and use everything we find in the jungle. Well, in my case, excluding the sources of meat. So yeah, don't go and eat some Gympie Gympie and then cry that you got hurt. You've been warned. By the way, here above my ankle, where I think I touched a leaf today, it kinda hurts a little bit, and from time to time something feels like some small insect is crawling on my leg, but apart from that I'm still okay. Can you burn this very well? And I will try to eat it like this without goreng in the wok, but I am afraid. So this one, yeah, I think this should be, yeah, we are on the safe side here.
No more already.
No more. I hope no more. Manhandling, we are manhandling Gympie Gympie leaves here. Amazing. Okay, folks, now I'm gonna eat a leaf of the suicide plant, of the most painful stinger in the whole wide world. Auntie Maureen is looking, but the other ones don't really care. No stingers yet. However, this leaf is definitely too old and too tough. Also not very tasty. Reminds me a bit of a stinging nettle, but definitely a lot less tasty. Ringus is giving me a young leaf. Let's try this one. I think I have a slight sting on one of my fingers and one on my palate. Yeah. This reminds me even a bit more of stinging nettles, but nah. To be honest, stinging nettles taste much better. I have a much stronger taste. And no, this is not the stingers, but they just extinguish the fire with water, so I'm getting the smoke in my face. Ringus washed the burnt leaves and I chopped them into smaller pieces. And after some discussion what to do with them, we decided to stir fry them with oyster sauce. So the one stinger he got in his finger, he says it doesn't hurt a lot. That kinda It's the same I feel on my leg. It doesn't hurt a lot, and on my pellet I'm not even sure if it was really one of those things or if I'm imagining it. I think maybe oh, you really also want to cut the thick part? I think it's very tough. I really think that either this plant was not so strong, or maybe we caught it at the time of the year when it wasn't that strong. I don't know. We both have had much more painful experiences with this species, but right now it's, yeah, the pain is a little bit underwhelming. Here, the Gympie Gympie is being fried with some onion and garlic. And today they are using a pan for most of the work instead of the wok. What do you use the pan for, and what do you use the wok for normally? What is the pan better for?
This one better with a little bit only.
For this one better, for the eggplant also better. But for the breadfruit and the champedak you use the wok, right? Ah, okay. So for smaller amounts,
Put water.
water,
No,
where?
Put a little bit.
Little bit water. Okay, let's see. Let her cook. Adding some oyster sauce. Some vegan oyster sauce, of course, made from mushrooms and soya and I think and such things. Tastes a lot like oysters, I must admit, but a vegetarian like me can eat it.
I think already.
Tasting the product. Super hot, so we don't want to get burnt in a different way. It would be funny if we put in so much effort to detoxify the stingers and then got burned by the heat.
Nice.
The oyster sauce and the garlic and the onion and the oil are nice, but the plant, no.
Look nice.
It is, the feeling is like very hairy, like the stinging nettle, like the relative of this plant we have in Europe, but the taste is not as nice as the stinging nettle. You know, the stinging nettle, you put up with the hairiness, which is not so pleasant because the taste is nice, but this one is just hairy and tough without a nice taste. So here are the results of our hard work. A tiny plate. To be honest, it really looks like stinging nettles. I mean, yeah, it's a hairy leaf. You can see the pieces of onion here. Yeah. So Ringus tried it and says the leaf is too old. But we tried even the very young leaf. Even the young leaf was too tough. I think it's just not a good plant to eat. It's possible to eat, but it's not very tasty. Auntie, what do you think? Maan, Daun Api.
They're afraid to eat.
Maan.
They're afraid to eat it.
I'm trying to speak the local Bidayu language and I'm not very good at it.
Amo rambutnya ada padan.
I think I'll stick to Melayu since everybody here understands it. Maan, Ibu.
Yeah, maan.
Afterward?
Afterward, we all go to hospital.
No, I'm not done.
How is it? You like it or not?
The leaf is very hard.
Okay, she's washing her mouth after eating it. It's very hard and very hairy, right? Like
Very hard, very heavy.
Ours in Europe, the stinging nettle, also hard and also hairy, but also has a nice strong taste.
Take the youngest one.
We tried some of the youngest one, was still hard and hairy. You tried? It's-
Dengan riak.
Iya riak.
Anya.
Makin na tayo riak.
Oh,
Riak.
Oh, I don't understand Riyadh.
cook and still hot ba? The leaf.
Still hard.
Still hard, yes.
Yes,
And
riak.
also, I don't like the feeling of the hairs. You know, those hairs you can feel. This is the one that is very painful. Now it's not painful anymore, but it's hairy.
Ti, tapi mangkuk penyarum nanan. He.
Oh well. It's kinda okay, but as I said, if you fry stuff with oil and with onion and garlic and oyster sauce, I guess even cardboard will taste okay. So I think the decent taste is more due to Auntie Rita's and Auntie Maureen's cooking skills, and not so much to this leaf. I mean, they have so many interesting fruits and vegetables here, and here the border between fruits and vegetables is not really a strict one. Here they are frying breadfruit. Here we collected wild garcinia for to use in fish dishes. Somewhere there should be a pot of fried young champedak. They have so many tasty fruits and veggies here which they can cook or eat raw. I hope that I could add a new plant to this to this pantheon of jungle foods and village foods, like a food for real chats, eating the Gympie Gympie, the dangerous plant that defeated the whole enemy army. But to be honest, yeah, it's possible to eat it, but nah, some European stinging nettle is much tastier. So folks, please don't try this at home. We are all jungle experts, basically. Apart from that, stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful and incredibly fruit-rich island of Borneo and the beautiful and incredibly fruit-rich village of Pichin with its wonderful people. And of course, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.